Welcome to Dental Success Beyond Chairside, the podcast that is dedicated to revolutionising the way dental professionals succeed beyond the dental chair. Join us for a unique blend of insightful interviews with industry experts and valuable tidbits of information to help you thrive in your dental specialist practice. In each 20-minute episode, we'll delve into a variety of topics, including HR, marketing, innovative techniques and systems, and AI, to help you transform your practice and unlock its full potential. Whether you're a dentist, specialist, or oral health therapist looking to enhance your practice, this podcast is your go-to resource for professional, personal, and profitable success. Get ready to go beyond the dental chair and discover what lies ahead in your practice journey with Dental Success Beyond Chairside. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dental Success Beyond Chairside. Infection control is paramount in any dental practice, but with so many guidelines, protocols and updates, how do you ensure you're doing the right thing? Today, I'm joined by Dr Roslyn Franklin from Amalgamate Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, Ros. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Michelle, for asking me to come on your podcast.
Absolutely. No, it's a pleasure. We're looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Ros has 30 years of experience in dentistry as a dentist, trainer, and infection control consultant. She's a fellow of the International College of Dentists, published author on infection control, and runs Amalgamate Consulting, helping practices simplify and implement infection control protocols. Ros, can you share your journey with us and what led you to focus on infection control in dentistry?
Thanks, Michelle. It's interesting when you look back at your life and you see those sliding doors moments and when you sort of pivot towards something you never ever thought, and that is exactly what happened to me. I'd been practicing part-time as a general dentist for a number of years. I had 2 small children and I'd sort of reached a point in my practicing career where I was ready for just something a little different or a change and decided just to take a break from dentistry. And during that break, it took me into working with training and assessing dental assistants, doing Cert 3 and 4 for about 4 years, which I really enjoyed that teaching side of things, using the knowledge that I had, but then also training those really important team members. I feel so passionate that they really need to be qualified, educated, and one day hopefully registered and recognised for what they do. And then from there, I had a slightly sort of break as well. I worked in another industry for a while, which was really good to get out of dental, I think, and work in another business. Still within that registered training organisation, but this company was quite different. It did certificates in rigging, dogging, crane operation. Yes, so very different. I was in the compliance section, writing or editing a lot of their learning materials. So that suited me well. It was part-time, could work around my children. That was great. And then I sort of fell back into the dental world when a colleague of mine asked me to help their practice become accredited. This was back in 2015, I believe, if I remember rightly. The practice manager is busy. You know dental terminology. I think you like paperwork and stuff. Do you want to help us? And I went, sure. Of course, I had the old, yes, I can do that, when I really had no idea what he was asking me to do. So I quickly looked it up and I thought, well, if anything, it'll be fine. I helped them with their accreditation journey. He was very complimentary in the sense that you've been really helpful for us. It would be nice if you could help other practices. You should do this as a business. I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. I initially set up Amalgamate Consulting with accreditation assistance, which I did for a number of years. But then there's this huge component of infection prevention and control. I thought there's a lot of areas I don't know and the practices don't know. So I thought, right, I need to get some further training. I joined the Australasian College for Infection Prevention and Control. I went back to Griffith Uni and did my postgrad in infection prevention and control after vowing I would never go back to university. After dental school. Anyway, went back as an adult learner, went and worked in a few dental practices like in that magic steri room because I had the dentist understanding, which is chairside, I'm fine, but steri, no clue. I thought, right, if I'm going to do this, I need to understand. From there, lots of self-learning courses, attending things, then connecting with my peers in the infection prevention and control world in hospital and office space. And then probably a year and a bit ago, I decided that I would just exclusively do infection prevention and control rather than spread myself between accreditation and infection prevention and control, because I thought, no, that's really my lane. That's what I like.
As you said, Ros, that you've got that, you're a dentist, and now you've seen that other side, and you've, as you alluded to, you've been writing compliance, writing procedures.
Yes, the mining and with dental assisting. So
and dental assisting, that's exactly right. That's what I love about you. When that new standard came out and you were so excited and you had the book with all the tabs in there, I was like, I'm non-clinical, and that is just seems to be the most boring thing ever. I just love Ros because she can just share what she has. But Ros, what I really want to know is when you go into dental practices, because obviously, as you said, infection control is paramount in any dentist, but as a general dentist, you don't really know the steri room. Do you see that steri rooms are set up similarly, or what can people do to help their steri room be compliant and make sure that when they've got a new person come on board them onto the way the steri room should be running?
I see a common thread in steri rooms. I usually have a pretty good idea when I go into a dental practice and then I walk into steri. Generally what I'm going to say, if I haven't sort of asked for those pre-photos videos beforehand, I generally say the same sort of equipment, the same sort of setup. I come across very similar questions from the staff. In general, most practices are generally overall wanting to do the right thing, trying to do the right thing, and it comes down to staff training, education, and having a really good system in place that when you have a new staff member come on, you've got a structure to get them ready to be competent in instruments, cleaning and sterilization. I find that because we employ a lot of dental assistants who aren't qualified and you take them off the street, if you don't have that system in place with a really good, strong sort of leadership or hierarchy or person or persons, should be more than one person in a practice who knows what they're doing and then can teach and train. Everything's via Chinese whispers and it's not often quite correct. I come in and technically it's an audit, a confidential look at your policies and procedures, what you have in place. And if you don't have anything in place or you have a half-written something or other, like a policy procedure manual for infection control or for steri room, I can often take that half-written one and finish it for people or start and write something for them. It's really important that you have a system documented. There's got to be some sort of paper trail. There's got to be some sort of program where training is done and then recorded that training has been offered, because the new Australian Standard 5369 requires us to train our staff in the steri room. We also need to document it. It doesn't have to be a huge highfalutin training program. It can be quite simple, but just structured. It can be videos, it can be online training, it can be a combination of things. I try to help practices there. Often what they're reading in the guidelines and standards might contradict a bit, or it's just confusing because you've got to have a PhD to read it. My role is to put it in context for your practice and put it into everyday speak and break it down. If people want to know the why, I can tell them the why, or I can just tell them what to do. If some people say, just tell me what to do, I don't care why. Okay, do this, this, and this. You must.
I've been in practices that have had you into the steri room and done that confidential audit. The Australian Dental Association do have their template for the infection control. I know a lot of people that do get accredited, somebody will just do that and work through the book, and it's not in layman's terms. Sometimes it's really confusing, and disseminating that down the line is sometimes very difficult. So when you get a new staff member on, you've got to read this manual like this is a podcast, but it's a very big book and it's just boring. Can I understand it? Because really they're using all of these terms that I've really got no idea what they're talking about. And seeing yours, Ros, with that infection control template that you organise, and I think you do it bespoke to each practice, it's so much easier for onboarding for people and to do that training. And I know there's courses, I think you offer a course that you can purchase with these new standards. And I feel a lot of practices don't even realise with these new standards what they need to do. With the standard, do they have to start showing by a certain time that they're actually working towards, is that correct, the sterilisation?
Confusing. I must say, out there, we've got this new standard, and it'd be so easy if it came with this little headline, released December 23, must comply by December 2025. It would just be so much easier if it was just clear as anything, and it's not really. So for practices, dental practices that are private practices who have opted to stay accredited to the new primary and community healthcare service standards, not sure if I said that whole term right, there is a bit of that you need to be compliant to AS 5369 in Steri, and they'll sort of let you know when that is. There's no doubt that accredited practices need to start complying. Some of it, they can't necessarily comply right away with everything, because some of it is they can implement right away. Others they've got to perhaps work towards over a period of time, but they will show in a written document somewhere, or usually that's that risk assessment, that they are aware of this. This is how they've decided to work towards this goal. And in 6 months' time, we're going to renovate our Steri. 6 months after that, okay, we're going to purchase the new equipment, and we perceive in 2 years' time we'll be fully compliant. But we are working towards it. And often with accreditation or anything, it's the importance is actually working towards something or having an action plan to get there, not just ignore it.
Obviously, those existing practices, when they're saying, yes, we need to do this, we're going to do a renovation of our Steri. But there's a lot of dentists now, not only renovating, but they're startups, and the importance of getting that Steri room from the outset, because it can actually be very costly if they're not doing it correctly to change it. I'm not sure if all of the builders are even across the standard. The importance of engaging an expert like yourself to make sure that you're actually compliant with your Steri room is very important, because as you said, when you've gone into all the Steri rooms, they're sort of set up the same equipment the way it is. I think as a practitioner, you see that and go, oh yeah, well, we're doing the right thing, but are you really, because of this new standard? It's very confusing, and it hasn't been just from a lay person's term in the business because I'm non-clinical. It's really confusing.
Oh, I know. The standard's been written in sort of the international standard speak and terminology. It's certainly not the everyday person's terminology, which is such a shame in a way. I really wish they could write things, but then it's a real sort of cross between writing things properly but writing things clearly. Sometimes we have to use language for the industry so that it's specific. So yes, it's often, I'm your call Dr. Ros. What does it mean when it says that? I'll either tell you like, it means this, or I go, I really don't know, or it could go either way. So let's look at your situation and see what is the best. Because most practitioner owners and people who work in a dental practice, they want to be safe when they work there, and they don't want to give infections to patients. We've all got that. We want to do the right thing. Some people are more anal about it than others, and some people are far too lax. I guess in the end, you've got to decide where you fit comfortably and would work and feel safe. I had a practice.
Exactly. So it's about protecting your team and your patients as well. Now, there are other automated systems, Ros, in Steri to be able to help you with tracing and tracking. Is there any things that you think are good on the market to help with that type of thing and to reduce time and energy with the team?
Oh, yes. If we can go paperless, automatic, have things reduce that human element, for sure. I do like Damien Drummond from Steri and Stock, his Steri component for tracking, tracing, and being able to print, reports exactly what you need, for a couple of clicks. I feel his system is really robust. He's also very much wanting to always be compliant with the latest and greatest, and he's managed that. I've spoken to a number of dental assistants who have Steri and Stock in their practices, and they're like, oh, we love it. I'm like, yeah, barcodes are printed, things are scanned in the computer. So once it's set up, it always takes a while to set up these things, but it just runs beautifully. I really like his program. There are other software programs out there. The brand of autoclave often will have a program with it, or some of the dental softwares for dental for Windows and others have stereo components. But to my knowledge, unless they've recently updated it, there's often spots that they're still missing, and someone has to record it somewhere on a piece of paper or in a separate note section, so it's not all encompassing. I'm very much for, if you have a system in place that makes it simple, easy, yes, go for it. A
lot of people, they just use a checklist, don't they, with making sure that it's been done in the morning and then it's initialed.
Yes, so if you don't have it on the computer, you've got a checklist. And people have a checklist on a wall and they pull it down and there's a, yes, I've done this. Because if you get audited by the Dental Board of Australia or the New South Wales Dental Council or Queensland Health, whoever comes in, they want to see from you a bit of a paper trail, whether it's electronic or a paper checklist that you've been doing. For example, in the stereo, you've done all your pre-checks in the morning and your pre-cleans and everything, all your equipment's working properly and the room is clean and ready to go. They just want to know that. And is your autoclave working properly? And do you have it serviced regularly? It's like your car. Every time you hit so many 1,000 kilometres, in it goes for the service and the oil change.
And they've got the stickers that actually say when it's due as well on the front when they come to service it. So it makes it easy. And then just not as easy as diarising it in your template in your practice management system that the month before to organise it for the following month.
Yes, that's exactly right. Unfortunately, the servicing and validating your autoclave. So the validating is when they actually make sure it's actually working as it should, like it's getting to temperature and pressure. That has changed in the new standards, so there's a bit more of a cost because the technician has to stay on site now to run that. So there is a few little changes that are good to be aware of, just so that you can forward plan as well.
Wow. So you're just a wealth of knowledge, Ros. I just love you, even though, as I said, I'd just get you in because I've got no idea.
Thank you. I try.
Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to share with the audience?
I guess one of the things that I've noticed that practices need a bit of help with is, training for staff and training for practitioners as well. I have an academy, which is a membership online, trying to, I believe it fulfills a lot of those requirements for training staff. So whether it's a beginner or an intermediate online infection control course, which staff can do. I also have monthly webinars and I have other information through the dashboard. So practices can actually trial a 3-month membership. They're only in 3-month increments and see if it suits them for a bit of a systemized way of training their staff and getting their information and have a direct line to call Ros. I've had a few practice managers go, Ros, girls are discussing, is it paper up or paper down in the autoclave? Can you please give us your judgment on it? And then it'll be done and dusted. Like, okay.
And it is nice to have an expert just to be able to speak to at the end of the line, at the end of the day, rather than trying to look it up yourself. It's much easier to go, as you said, 1.2.
Dial a friend.
Excellent. Ros, it's been a pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your expertise with our listeners. We really appreciate it. For more information about Ros and Amalgamate Consulting, please see our show notes. Thank you so much, Ros. It was been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. It's always a pleasure as well to chat with you.
Love it. Okay. See you.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast or YouTube channel. Your feedback helps us continue delivering valuable content and insights from leaders in the dental industry. In our next episode of Dental Success Beyond Chairside, we're joined by Sarah Thompson, founder of Online Social Butterfly. With over 20 years of marketing experience, Sarah brings a practical approach to digital strategy and will be sharing how dental practices can manage social media in a way that's more effective and less overwhelming. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.